Don't ruin my morning.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Haley, and as you can see, we are going to be creating an iconic Maleficent look here today. And if you guys are excited to see how I create this look and you want to know what products I used and how to do this for yourself, then just keep watching. Alrighty you guys, the first thing that I'm going to do is prime my face, and I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter Primer in the shade Too Light. I'm just going to take this and swipe it across my face a couple of times. This primer just kind of gives an overall skin tint. It is just supposed to even out skin tone and bring some radiance to the skin. I have been loving this primer recently, and it really gives me a nice base for my foundation. I'm going to blend that out using the Real Techniques buffing brush. As you can see, that just gave my skin a very nice glow. So the next thing that I'm going to do is kind of color correct a little bit. I have a red dot here, and here I was bit by a spider a couple of days ago, and the bites are still lingering. So I'm going to take this green color corrector from Essence, and I'm going to color correct this little blemish right there as well. Just any little red dots that I have so it doesn't peek through under my foundation. I'm going to blend that in using this back side of my e.l.f. beauty sponge, and I'm just tapping over it just to blend it in. I don't want to remove that corrector or anything, so I'm just tapping it. I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. This is in the shade Too Neutral. And I'm just going to pump a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm going to start with 2 pumps, and then we will just kind of go from there. I'm going to dot this on my face. I still have about this much on the back of my hand, so we're just going to start to buff this in using that Real Techniques blending brush, and I'm just kind of stamping it in. I don't want to remove that color corrector that we put on underneath. I just want to distribute the foundation evenly all over my skin. And I'm just going to take half of what's left on the back of my hand and just kind of blend all of that in, blend out all of the brush marks that may be on my face. Okay, so for concealer, I'm going to be using this e.l.f. Camo Concealer in the shade Fair Warm. This is the lightest concealer I own. And I really just want to really carve out my cheekbones with this, just really emphasizing this area of my face. Maleficent has a very sharp cheekbone. I'm just starting this off by carving out a triangle here to give us a starting place to work with for contour. And I'm also going to put this at the very base of my forehead and my chin and like right here. And then I'm just going to use my e.l.f. Beauty Sponge to blend that out. I'm going to blend out the center of my face before I blend out my under eyes. Okay, so I'm just going to start here on my nose and just lightly tap that on both sides. Maleficent has a pretty defined nose, so I'm just using this concealer to begin the contour process with highlighting. And then now I'm going to lightly blend this out under my eyes. I don't want it to blend out everywhere. I'm just trying to pat it into my skin so that it stays very bright in this area. Just going back and forth between both sides just to make sure I'm blending it all out and it stays where I've placed it. We don't want there to be harsh lines though, so do blend the edges of this just to kind of diffuse it into the surrounding skin. But we want the majority of that pigment to just stay where we placed it. Okay, as you can see, it looks kind of crazy, but we're going to set it and it won't look so bad. I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder to set the majority of my face. I'm just going to be using a big fluffy brush to set my face. I am not going to be using this to set my under eyes though, because it will tint that and make it darker, and we do not want that. So I'm just setting the parts of my face but did not put that concealer. Okay, and you want to use a very brightening powder to set this area. I have the Essence Brighten Up banana powder here. This is a wonderful brightening powder, one of the best at the drugstore. It is one of my favorites, so I'm just going to take my sponge and just get in there, and I'm going to press it under my eyes to set this area. And I'm going to set this area as well because we want to keep that nice and bright. And then we can kind of buff around the edges with this powder brush that we used earlier. Okay, so now it is time to contour. I'm going to be using this NYX contour palette, and I'm going to be using this shade right here. It is the coolest tone in the palette, and you want a really cool toned contour just so it sticks out a little bit more. Okay, I'm just going to start right up here at the very tippy top of my cheek. And this is a Morphe M105 brush. And I'm just going to start chiseling out my cheek. And I'm just kind of pinching the brush a little bit to make sure we get that line. I'm actually going to switch to an actual contour brush. This is one from e.l.f. It is the e.l.f. 104 brush, and I'm just going to go back into that same shade, and I'm just going to make a very straight line right at the edge of that concealer that we used. And don't be afraid to really contour this out. And also we could put concealer here too, so right at the edge of that concealer, put contour and blend it back into your hairline. Don't be afraid to really get the contour in there. You can always blend it out, but we want to give the illusion of a very sharp cheekbone, just like Maleficent. So Maleficent's Contour also comes in here and kind of connects to her chin contour. We really want to create that hollowed out look here. So you can be a little more light-handed when drawing this part because we want it to be a little more soft than this harshness. We're going to blend this out in a second, so don't freak out. But I'm just lightly creating that sunken inness, and we'll blend it out. And then you also want to take your contour brush and start contouring out your jawline. Maleficent has a very contoured jaw and a very sharp jaw, so we want to create an illusion of a very sharp jaw. And as you can see, this side already looks way more defined than this side. You can see I have an outline of a very sharp jaw coming on here. Just trace your jawbone when doing this. That's a really good starting point, is to feel where your jawbone is and just take that contour brush and really push up against that jawline to create that false image. And she has a very blunt chin here as well, so we're going to contour that as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go make this side look like this side, and we'll blend it out and make it look more realistic. Okay, so now that we have this all evened out, I'm going to take that powder brush that I was using earlier to set my face. It has some translucent powder still set on it, so I'm just going to sit here very, very light-handed, like I'm barely touching my face. And I'm just going to buff this right here, this sunken in part, because we want that to be soft, but you want to be able to see the contour just a little bit because you want to create that shadow of a sunken in face or cheek. So I'm just very, very lightly touching my face, like hardly touching my face at all. Just very patiently blending this. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing up here as well. So very lightly touching my skin. I don't want to blend it down, and I don't want to blend it up. We just kind of want to diffuse the color a little bit. But we want to make sure we're still able to see that contour line. You do want this line to be a little bit more harsh than here. I'm just blending out this contour. I did not contour up here because we are going to be wearing the famous horns of Maleficent, so it doesn't really make much sense to do much up here in this forehead area. But I'm just going to keep being patient and blending this out until it gets blended out enough to where it's not like super harsh like over here. I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is the all over blending brush from Milani, and I'm going to take that same brightening powder just on a brush this time, and I'm going to load up the brush, and I'm just going to take it straight under this contour just to highlight that. And we're going to take it down, and we're just going to like highlight this area in between the chin contour and the cheek contour just to make everything pop out a little bit more. So load up that brush and really just define that area. Okay, now we are going to move into the eyes, and I am going to prime my eyes with the Anastasia eye primer. I'm just going to put some on the back of my hand and then put some on my eyes with my finger. And then I'm going to blend this out with a concealer brush from Morphe. First, I'm taking this Tarte face shaping palette, and I'm going to go into this white shade here called Solstice, and I'm just going to blend that all over my eye. I'm using a big fluffy brush like this. This is a Farah 35E brush. I'm just taking it and I am just going to blend that all over my eye just to kind of set the lid. Okay, I'm going into this ColourPop palette. This was a create your own ColourPop palette, and I'm going into this shade here called Bel Air, and I'm just going to blend that into my crease. So I'm just going to take on that big fluffy brush and just really throw that into the crease and blend that out everywhere. So that you can see what I'm doing on my eyes. Okay, so I'm just taking that same shade of Bel Air and I'm just taking that into the crease and blending it out. I'm also going to take it down onto the lid just a little bit. And I'm going to be going into this shade Stone right here. It's a deeper brown, and I'm just going to be putting that on my outer corner in a little C shape. Make sure you tap off the excess though, because these shadows are a bit powdery, but I'm just going to pack it out here first very lightly, and then I'm going to start blending it out on the outer V just a little bit, blend it into the crease and onto this outer lid space. Maleficent has a very open, lighter lid, so I want to leave the lid pretty light and open. So I'm just taking this dark brown shade and I'm only putting it on this outer portion of the eye. More defined pencil brush. This is a Moda BMX 420 brush, and I'm going to be taking that Stone shade and I'm just going to tuck this under my lash line. I'm just going to go about 3/4 of the way. I'm not going to go all the way over. Maleficent doesn't have hers all the way over, so I'm just going to keep it out there and connect it to this top lash line. Okay, I'm going to take this flat brush here. This is the JS11 from the Morphe Jeffree Star collection. I'm going to go back into that white shade that we used called Solstice, and I'm just going to redefine this lighter portion here just to make sure it is light and open. Okay, I'm going to take that first brush that we used with the transition shade and just go over all of this to make sure everything is nice and blended. Okay, I'm going to zoom you guys out and we'll do with the nose contour. So, for nose contour, I'm going to take this Firma 202 brush and I'm going to dip back into that contour shade that we've been using this whole time. And I'm going to contour out the nose and kind of take it into the crease of the eyeshadow just a little bit. So Angelina Jolie has a very defined nose. So I'm just taking this very lightly. I'm not putting too much contour on there because we don't want that to look bad. And I'm just kind of taking it into the crease of this shadow just a little bit. And over here as well, I'm doing very light stroke motions. Here, we're just tying it into the shadow so that everything looks cohesive and like it's supposed to be there. And then I'm just running this contour shade down my nose and under it. Okay, and I'm going to take another little pencil brush and I'm going to go into that Essence Brightening Powder. And I'm just going to pack that powder onto this and I'm just going to take it down the center of my nose to define that contour just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of brush the excess away with this big powder brush. Okay, so now that we have the eyes done and all of the contour mostly done, I am going to add a bit of liner because Angelina Jolie does have a bit of liner. She has a little cat eye going on, so I kind of want to keep that there. So this is the NYX liner. This is their matte liquid liner. It has a brush tip. That's my favorite kind of liner. If you don't like brush tips, then you might not like this liner, but I feel like this liner is very easy for me to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and line my eyes. I'll bring you guys in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm just taking that liner and I'm going to line my eyes very thinly on the top, and I might do a wing, I'm not really sure yet. I'm being very careful to make sure it is a very thin line. Here just for support, and I'm going to look down into this mirror. Draw a very small line. Just like that. So I'm going to do the other liner off camera, and I'm going to pop on some lashes. I'm going to be using the Ardell single double up lashes, and I'm going to be using the smaller size because I don't want my lashes to kind of overpower the eye. I want the eye to be the center of attention in this area, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now it's time to do brows. Angelina Jolie just has very defined brows, and they're not long and drawn out, so I'm just going to fill in the brows that I have and make sure to create an arch up here like Angelina Jolie's. All the products that I'm using will be linked in the description box down below if you want to check them out for yourself. I'm just filling in my hairs right now. I'm not drawing anything extra just yet. I'm just filling in the sparse areas of my brows. And I'm just going to flick some hair-like strokes up here in the front where I have less hair. And then up here I am just going to create that arch that Angelina has. Okay, and then I'm just going to fill in on top of that. Okay, and I'm going to do the other brow off camera, and I'm going to set the brows in place with the Benefit Gimme Brow in the shade 3. Alrighty, you guys, before I do lips, I am going to set my face with this Burt's Bees Hydrating Facial Mist. If you're going out for a long night for Halloween, you might want to use a long-lasting setting spray, but I'm not doing that tonight. I'm just using this facial mist because Maleficent is not dead, and she doesn't need to look dead, so this facial mist will bring life back to my face. Okay, and as this is drying, I am just going to press all of that into my skin so it all sinks in and we have a nice flawless finish. Okay, so now I am going to use this Maybelline lip pencil in the shade 150 Brick Red. And I blocked out my lips with foundation because I am going to overdraw my lips to create a more fuller, juicy lip. So I'm going to overdraw my Cupid's bow just a little bit and then follow along with my natural lip line. Okay, and I am going to fill in my lips with this just to create a base for the lipstick. For lipstick, we are going to be going into Redrum by Jeffree Star. And I am just going to put this all over the lips. This is a very deep red. Such a beautiful shade. Alright, you guys, that is the look all finished. I will have to say we did a pretty dang good job transforming into Maleficent. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you think that you will create this makeup look. I had so much fun doing it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel before you leave and click that bell notification right next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time I upload a new video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this fun Halloween Maleficent look, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.